of the night cut me again. I know it just ain't right. It's got me all in. Said damned if I do and damned if I don't. The outcome is still the same. Trying to beat the devil at his own game.
Is this where you recorded the record?
Yes, is where I wrote it and then did quite a bit of work on it, although most of the album was done up in Nashville.
Right. Well, you recorded it at a place called the Rock House. Is that right?
Yes, that's where I've done my past 7 albums, and it's where Delbert McClinton records and John Hyatt and
Nice.
and other luminaries.
Very good. They're good guys. So what,
yeah.
what brings you to the Rock House to record there? What is it about the place?
Kevin McKendry, who has played keyboards on all of my albums since the one I did with Tom Dowd in '96. He, about halfway through making albums elsewhere, he said, well, I'm doing this at my house. I'm getting pretty good at it. And he built a building, acoustically designed building. And Kevin and I have been making records there ever since.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So my understanding is, the album is called Devil May Care. It's coming out
Devil May Care
in a couple of weeks on the 21st. And of course, you were in the middle of touring your previous album, and everything kind of came to a halt thanks to the old pandemic. So tell me a little bit about the backstory of how this record came to be and what you did during that time.
Well, I came home from the a long drive all the way from the west coast of the U.S. to home in Atlanta, and the tour went away, and it got rescheduled 3 different times, and then got rescheduled to this spring, hopefully winter and spring. Yep. But I came home and I didn't want to lose my chops, and so I decided to designate 8 a.m. till noon as a time to record and write, and came up with over 200 songs, which we picked the best 10 for this album.
How does one just come up with 200 songs? That's crazy.
Well, they're not all great, obviously, but I've got quite a few good ones left over, and basically that just became my job. And then at a certain point, I went to Alligator and said, I think I've grouped these into something pretty interesting. Right. And they agreed, and we worked on it a little more, on the which songs would make it, and a couple of them went, and a couple of others were added. And then it was time to start going and recording them up in Nashville. I went up there, the same band I've been using for the past 7 albums, and basically just knocked out the basic tracks. And then I brought them back here to Georgia and worked on them here in my studio a little bit. Went back to Nashville, worked a couple more times on it, and then left the tapes with Kevin McKendry, and he mixed the album up. And it's a long process. Got to get it right, and it took a while, but here we are in about to reap the benefits of it.
Excellent. So when an artist like you, who's been kind of on the road and recording and touring for 30 some years, suddenly gets to the point where, oh no, can't do it for a while, what does it do to your head? Do you have to kind of rethink who you are and what you're doing?
It really did. I'm 64 years old, and I've been touring for over 40 years, and that is like nonstop. There was never a year. There was never really a month that I didn't go travel somewhere to play. And so I really think that the songwriting and making of this album was somewhat of a salvation, and keeping me sane. And I'm still writing songs, and I'm gonna miss the time that I'm able to do that when I'm on the road. So I'll be able to, probably after this album, we have an initial tour of 42 shows that take us coast to coast here. And after that, I'll be able to, come back and do some more writing, and probably be able to just play good places rather than just play all the time.
Right.
You know, be more concerned with quality
Yep.
rather than you know, just having to feel like I have to do it all the time.
Gotcha. So when you say a good place, what is your definition of a good place?
Well, like a blues festival or a theater, maybe paired with another artist like Tommy Castro or something. For instance, we work quite a bit with Tommy, and and you know, performing arts centers type places, and getting away from playing, you know, the kind of dive bars, which have been the bread and butter for pretty much my whole life.
Right. So so with hundreds of songs written over the past year and a half or so, and you've been doing this for a while, what keeps you inspired to write? I mean, how do you not feel like, well, I've done it all before?
Well, my songs usually start off with like a guitar lick, a riff, and or you know, there were days where I'd come down here and I didn't have any ideas, and you know, have a cup of coffee and put on some. I revisited a lot of music that I hadn't listened to in a long time, like Bloomfield Cooper Super Sessions Live. I hadn't heard that album in a long time. What a great album, the live one, and then that inspired me, and then I got into the Al Cooper thing. Led me back to Blood, Sweat, and Tears' first album.
I thought so, because the song "Don't Bury Our Love" reminded me of a track from that album, More Than You'll Ever Know. So, am I on?
Well, that's as high a praise as you can give it. What a song, huh?
Yeah.
You buried our love down in the clay. It's not gone, but you're treating it that way. Certain there's something wrong. I don't have a cure. It's not over. Don't bury our love.
And that might be the only song from that album, because I think he was only on one album. I might be wrong about that.
It was just the one album, yeah.
Just the one album. I think that's the song off that album that has really stood the test of time.
Yep.
That they would still perform nowadays with whoever they've got. And yeah, that song, I listened to that one day and I said, wow, it's a piece of music with movements and stuff like that, almost like a classical piece, and different time signatures. And I think that, you know, I don't think there's going to be any lawsuit involved or anything like that. Or I certainly hope not. But I wouldn't think so. I would like to think that he would consider it an homage.
Right.
I hope. And because I actually met him one time when we did a show with some of the guys from Alan Collins' band from Leonard Skinner up in New York City, and Al Cooper came out to that show to see some of his Discovery play.
That's right. He produced them, didn't he?
He did the first 2 albums, maybe.
Yeah.
Their best 2 albums, in my opinion.
Yep. Well, it's a similar vintage to you, and I remember seeing Blood, Sweat, and Tears in the 70s when David Clayton Thomas was fronting them, and they still did More Than You'll Ever Know. And man, it's still a killer. What a song!
But he was definitely a better singer, David Clayton Thomas. But there's something about when somebody writes and sings their own songs and tells their own stories.
Yep.
And I think that was the beauty in Carole King. You know, she had so many hits with other people, and she wasn't as good of a singer as the Drifters or any of those other artists. But when she sang those songs, it just made it so much more believable.
Right. So let's talk about your singing. So the album opens with a song called "One Less Reason," and it's kind of a rocker. And it's, you know, so when you're in the studio and you're playing with your band, how much you're a guitarist, you're a songwriter, you're a vocalist, do you compartmentalize those things, or does it all kind of happen at once?
Oh! sorry, pretty baby, for what went down that day. I told you she's nothing to me, but I don't blame you for acting that way. But it hurts so bad to have to hear you tell me goodbye. Now I got one less reason to cry.
Well, I usually write the music to a song first, almost always. Sometimes I'll have a line, a hook line to a song, and then I'll write about that. But usually I write the music first, and then I work on the music a little bit and leave holes in it for where the singing would be. And because when I make my demos, I play all the instruments myself.
Right.
I don't do that on the final product much. I think there's been a couple of times where my keyboards made it onto an album, a couple of times where my bass parts made it on. But in general, I write everything, record everything myself, and then I'll work on it and get a nice little mix on the background track. And then the next morning I'll come down and I'm fresh, and I'll listen to it and go, oh, and I start humming it and then I write it. And but if it ever takes 3 days to do that process, the song usually doesn't end up getting finished.
Gotcha.
It has to kind of, the best ones I've written were the ones that I did in one day, where I write the music and then I put the words to it. But generally, it's the 2-day plan. And then after I get a good vocal on, and then I do a mix of it, and then I send it up to Chicago to Alligator Records and fly it up a pole and see who salutes.
Gotcha. Yeah. So when you say when you have a good vocal, how do you know do you have people around you, producers, do you listen to the engineers, your bandmates, do you kind of decide yourself?
Well, this is for the demos, mind you. This is for when I'm writing the song.
Right.
And so it doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
It can't have any like spikes sticking out of it pitch wise, or, I try to make it, as good as the guitar playing would be, which is not, not easy, because obviously I'm much more of an instrumentalist, a soloist than a singer. And then but when I do their album, I've already sang it, and I've already listened, and I've already thought about it, and subconsciously I'm working on things, and I will go and sing, record it and try to keep as much of the original take of it as I can without having to fix it. And then I will repair.
Gotcha.
If I hear something like, I hear a line here or there, I can sing that better, and I repair it.
Yeah.
So anymore, we're trying to make these things be live albums. Obviously, we don't record with the horn section there. They almost always put themselves on top of the music. And if there's a second guitar part, or if we add a second keyboard part or a percussion part, those come a little later. But we like to think that it's not super stripped down, like, when you get those bands that just sound live like AC/DC or something, they just sound like they're just playing on the stage. And that's what I like that quite a bit. And so I try to get as kind of close to that, but every once in a while I'll say, a Wurlitzer piano would be really nice on a certain song.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Add that to it.
Yeah. Now, one track I wanted to touch on is called Juju, which kind of to me, it seemed to have a kind of Allman Brothers vibe to it. Tell me a little bit about that one, if you can.
Something you got, can't exactly see. Some kind of witchcraft put a spell on me. Can't turn it off now. I may never be the same. Turn a man into butter every time you speak my name.
Well, that song was inspired by listening to an album by a guy from Macon, Georgia, named Johnny Jenkins.
Okay.
Johnny Jenkins was a star in Macon, band leader, and Otis Redding was his valet and featured vocalist.
Right.
So obviously Otis Redding eclipsed Johnny Jenkins' fame, but Johnny Jenkins made an album in the late 60s, maybe early 70s, called Ton Ton Makoot. And on that album, it was one of the first albums recorded at the time, a new studio in Macon, Georgia, Capricorn Studios.
Yep.
And they used they had a house band there. A lot of the musicians that went on to play with just sort of left over from the Hourglass, which was an Allman Brothers band before Allman Brothers, and then actually on Ton Ton Makoot, Duane Allman played on a few songs. So anyway, it was a really nice production, but it almost had like a Dr. John kind of feel to it, or early Taj Mahal.
Right.
You know, their early albums were just so incredible, and so Juju is kind of a throwback to that. And then we put when we added the acoustic piano part, I said I think this would be nice, and he definitely did like a Chuck Leavell piano part to it that sort of sounded like from maybe the Brothers and Sisters era of the Allman Brothers.
I think that's what I was hearing. Yeah.
You're spot on with that.
Yeah.
Spot on. And I played some slide guitar in it too. And I just love the Allman Brothers band. And I had a chance to sit in with them several times, and also sit in with Dickie Betts and sit in with Greg Allman and record with Chuck Leavell. So cool. I guess that's kind of my my wheelhouse, really.
Cool. Another track I wanted to touch on, it sounds like you're playing Wawa, is on 28 Days. Is there kind of a story attached to that song at all?
28 days of torture, 28 days to stay, 28 days without it. Kentucky got me in pain. Became a dirty secret and really got under my skin.
Well, 28 days is the amount of time that somebody would be put into like a rehab facility to dry out or something.
Right. Yep.
And so the comparison of addiction, love being like an addiction. So a person is separating himself from the other person for 28 days, and he's not sure he can make it. And so that's the lyrical theme, but of course the musical theme is definitely, it's just that Jimi Hendrix thing that we've all got in us. It's sort of rock music is sort of pre-Hendrix and post-Hendrix. And once he came along, you'd have to be from a different planet not to be affected by it. Even the Beatles were affected by him.
Yeah. Very cool. So now I see that you're doing a gig on the day that you're starting a tour.
Yes.
So has it been a while since you've been on stage, or have you been kind of playing the little things here or there? How's it been?
No, I haven't performed a concert since we got sent home from the West Coast in March of 2020. Right. So almost 2 years. I've missed it. I wouldn't say that I can't live without it, but I've missed it. And this just seemed like a good time to launch a tour. But of course, there's a lot of health challenges here in the United States at the moment. I'm not sure how it is there, but it's going to be challenging.
Yeah. So to get yourself back into shape, what have you had to do? You've been rehearsing with the band?
Yes.
Is it just come back to you? Is it second nature at this point, or what?
No, rehearsing, because we plan, and this is something we haven't done in about 25 years, is we're going to play the new album in its entirety.
Cool.
Which would be fun to do these songs. And so I have to learn the words to my own song, because when I write them, I sing them, and they mix them, and then I put the lyrics aside. I still have to learn the words, remember the words.
Yep.
So I'm working on that.
Excellent. And have you ever played down in this part of the world, New Zealand?
I have played in Australia, but never been to New Zealand. One of my childhood friends, I grew up in South Florida, and my childhood friend, Steve Friedlander, he moved there and he just loves it. He moved there many years ago, like 40 years ago or something. Never looked back.
That's
And
the way
he's
to
been
go.
trying to get me to come over. And he just said, "Oh, they'd love your brand of, Southern rock, blues rock thing." And then I had friends that always would play there and tell me how much they enjoyed it. My friends in Canned Heat, they played there, and
cool.
they would always tell me. And they even went. We played with them in Australia, and then we went back home, and they went to New Zealand to perform for a while, and to Tasmania.
Yep. Probably the Byron Blues Festival or something like that in Australia is big. So imagine that's probably.
We did one in Perth together, and then we did one in a big one in more near Sydney. It wasn't that one that you just mentioned.
Right.
And one of those two, I think the one in Perth was like a motorcycle music thing.
Right.
With us and Canned Heat and a wonderful guitar player named Dave Hole from there. And it was a great festival.
Cool. Well, hopefully everything will go well on the 21st. Because is it kind of, you feeling kind of tentative about getting out there among people?
No, but if somebody gets sick, I guess we have to all come home.
Yeah.
Is what they've been doing. A lot of tours have been, there's been a lot of cancellations.
I've read about it. Yeah. It's got to be kind of scary and costly.
Well, we're not doing giant places, so it wouldn't be necessarily that costly, but definitely something I want to avoid.
Gotcha. Yep. Very good. Well, thank you for spending time talking to me. Much appreciate it. Hopefully you'll make it to New Zealand sometime soon.
I hope so too.
Yeah, it'd be great.
If you know anybody that wants to bring over a band from Georgia,
all right,
send them my way. I would love to. Cool. And we have fans there because people have written over the past 30 years wanting us to come play. So, and we've had other opportunities in Australia. So once we're there, we might as well go all the way, right?
Absolutely. Very good. All righty. Well, have a great day. And thank you very much for talking to me.
Thanks for having me on.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.